Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be counting down my top 50 albums of 2025. These are the 50 releases that impressed me the most over the last year. 2025 was a phenomenal year for music. There were so many fantastic releases that I'm absolutely certain that I left off some of your favorites on my list. So whatever I missed, let me know down below in the comments why you loved those releases. Maybe give me your own top 5, your own top 10, your own top 50, or heck, your own top 100 if you have it. I love hearing from you guys down below in the comments. So if you guys like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends to help boost this channel and the algorithm. And with that all out of the way, let's get into the list. So just before I reveal my number 50 pick, I just want to mention really quickly that I won't be doing any honorable mentions for today's list. I know I did honorable mentions for my top 25 films of the year, but since this is a top 50 list, I want to keep it as brief as possible. So no honorable mentions today. I also will be going through picks 50 to 25 a little bit quicker than I go through picks 25 to 1. I want to talk about the albums that impacted me the most a little bit more. So with that all out of the way, here's pick number 50. So number 50, I have Carné by Todos Mis Amigos Están Tristes. I hope I'm pronouncing that somewhat right. It's been a long time since I've taken any Spanish, but basically what that translates to is all my friends are sad. So you can assume that this is probably going to be a sadder record, but it's not. It has some lighter moments on it. It is a noise pop shoegaze album, is how it's defined genre-wise, and I had a lot of fun with this album. I love shoegaze music. I'm a big fan of black gaze in particular, which is combining shoegaze with black metal. So I've been listening to that a lot over this past year, and this album surprised me. Never heard a shoegaze album come out of a Latin country before, but I was pleasantly surprised. I had a lot of fun with this album, so I have that at number 50. At number 49, I have Bleeds by Wednesday. Wednesday is an indie rock, slacker rock type band. I'm not typically into indie rock myself. That kind of slower, softer pace is not usually for me. If I had to summarize which genre I listened to the most in 2025, it was probably black metal, which is a pretty stark contrast to indie music. But I was pleasantly surprised with this one, and I do think this is the best album that Wednesday has ever released. So if you're into the indie scene, go check this one out for sure. It was a blast. Next up, at number 48, I have The Mocking Stars by Louder the Cat. This is a rapper out of the UK, which I was not familiar with before this album. I found this album, I can't remember where. I think it was on Reddit or some forum somewhere. But I was pleasantly surprised by it. Rap and hip-hop is a genre that I know pretty well. I'm pretty deep in the underground scene there, and that's probably the genre I've listened to the most throughout my whole life. And I have never come across this artist before, and I was, again, pleasantly surprised by it. Lots of great songwriting on this album, fantastic lyrics that just kept me hooked, and a very, lo-fi, chill vibe to it too. This is one that you can kind of put on while you're studying. So I really, really liked this album. I have it at number 48. Next up at number 47, I have the new Backwash album, Only Dust Remains. Backwash is an industrial hip-hop artist that can be a little abrasive, a little bit difficult to listen to, not the most accessible artist in the world. Maybe that's why I have them a little bit lower on my list. I myself struggle listening to them at times, but Backwash is just a fantastic artist. This is another heavy, aggressive hip-hop record that just shatters your world. If you're into aggressive music, and especially hardcore hip-hop, you're definitely going to love this album. I have Backwash's Only Dust Remains at number 47. Next up at number 46, I have Model Actress's Pirouette. This is an industrial rock, dance punk band. They're very, very unique. Their music is challenging, at least for me. I know a lot of other people liked this record more than I did, but I did find it incredibly interesting, and it's one of the more unique records that I'll talk about today on my list. I absolutely loved it. I have Model Actress's Pirouette at 46. At number 45, I have Oneohtrix Point Never's Tranquilizer. This is a great electronic album. If you like progressive electronic music, if you're into groups like Underworld, I think you're going to like this album quite a bit. I wish I could put it higher on my list. It's just not clicking quite for me quite yet. With more listens, this album will probably be higher on my list. I'll probably like it a lot more, but I don't know. This one's challenging for me. You guys can go check it out. Let me know what you guys think. But I think it's their best album since Replica. I really, really like that album. I want to get it on vinyl someday. And yeah, this is a very interesting album. At number 44, I have Ethel Cain's Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. This was Such a fantastic record. I almost shed some tears to this one. This is a great singer-songwriter record, probably my favorite of the year, but like I said, that kind of slower, softer music isn't quite my vibe. That's why it's a little bit lower on my list, but I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a fantastic record. I actually got put onto it from a UFC fighter. Funny enough, Peyton Talbot actually posted this, I think on his Instagram or something, and I checked out the album, really liked it, and shout out to Peyton Talbot from the UFC for putting me onto new music. Who would have thought? But anyways, I loved this record. It's a fantastic record, very well written. Definitely go check it out if you're interested in great storytelling. At number 43, I have Jane Remover's Revenge Seekers. This is a trip pop, hyper pop record, kind of in the line of Charlie XCX, Sophie, and Dorian Electra, all of those artists, kind of in that same vein. I had a lot of fun with this album. There are so many interesting sounds on it. I feel like I can listen to it over and over again and pick up new things here and there. It's so creative, so out there. Definitely from the future. This album feels like it's from 2094 or something like that. It's a fantastic album. I highly recommend checking it out. At number 42, I have a darkwave album that I thought was absolutely fantastic. Anna von Hauswolf's Iconoclast. I think this is her best album since Dead Magic. If you're not familiar with this artist, highly recommend checking her out. It is darker music, but it's not too aggressive, not too abrasive. I think it's fairly accessible for most audiences, and I think she's just a fantastic artist, and she gave us yet another great album, just showing that she's one of the hardest working and best artists working today, I think. She's so damn talented, and this album is definitely worth a listen. Next up at number 41, kind of going in the complete opposite direction of the vibes of my last album, I have Sudan Archives, the BPM. This is an alternative R&B kind of dance album. It's very fun to listen to, very chill, very relaxing, easy to listen to, easy to get up and dance to as well. I love Sudan Archive. I think her album a couple years ago, Natural Brown Prom Queen, was absolutely fantastic, one of my favorite albums of 2022. And this one is kind of on the same level, just more great music from her, and can't wait for more of it. And next up at number 40, we have another alternative R&B album, this one by Kali Uchis. This is Sincerely. This is probably my favorite album of hers since Isolation. She's one of my favorite R&B artists working today, and just a phenomenal voice, just so smoothing, soothing. I love listening to her. It's like butter. I don't know how else to describe it, but I had a lot of fun with this album. It's one of my favorite R&B albums of the entire year, and that kind of closes out the first 10 or 11 albums, so let's move on now to number 39. And at number 39, I have a very fun album, maybe the most fun I had all year listening to an album. It's up there. An album by Nina Geraci called I Love My Computer. I love that name for an album. I don't know. It's just really funny. I Love My Computer. Such a funny thing to name your album. But this is an electro house, bubblegum, pop, dance record. It is so much fun to listen to. There's so many bright and colorful noises going on all throughout it. I don't know how else to describe it, but it feels like you're in a rainbow the entire time you're listening to it. It's a lot of fun. Please go check it out. I have that at number 39. Next up at number 38, actually my next three albums that I'll mention, I kind of all clumped together so that I can just rattle them off all three in a row. All of them are Latin singer-songwriter albums from three brilliant women, and it was a really good year for Latin music. And one of my favorites was Silvana Estrada's Vendrán Suaves Lubias. I hope I'm saying that somewhat close, but this was a fantastic album. I love this artist so much. Silvana Estrada has made quite a few of my favorite albums when it comes to Latin music. Her 2022 album, Marchita, was one of my favorites for sure. I put that on every time I'm making any sort of food from Mexico. I don't know. Every time I'm making Mexican food, I'm throwing on her music, and she's so pleasant to listen to. She's got a beautiful voice, and she was only topped by two other Latin artists who I think made slightly better albums. So at number 37, I have Natalia Lafourcade's, I apologize for butchering this, Cancionera. I hope I'm pronouncing that somewhat correctly. This was a fantastic album. Natalia Lafourcade is probably my favorite out of all of the Latin singer-songwriters. She's definitely my favorite woman out of the bunch for sure. She has such a beautiful voice. It is so soothing. Anytime I'm stressed out, I'm having a bad day, I don't feel like anything can cheer me up, she is one of my go-tos. Her album that came out in 2022, De Todas las Flores, is one of my favorite albums albums of all time. It is phenomenal. I highly recommend checking out her music. Unfortunately, I don't think it's the best album that Natalia Lafourcade has ever put out. Like I said, I think her 2022 album impressed me a little bit more. So for that reason, at number 36, I had to put Rosalia with Lux. Now, if you know anything about this album, my God, was there a lot of effort put into it. I wish I could put it number one. I wish I loved it that much to put it that high, but please go listen to this album. She put so much damn effort into it. She's a phenomenal artist. I think she got the London Philharmonic Orchestra to play for this album, which just gives it a breath and a space to it. I don't know how else to describe it, but there's so much volume to the music. It feels so full and atmospheric. It's pretty mind-blowing. She also sung in 13 or 14 different languages on this album, which just goes to show how damn impressive she is. She also has one of the most fantastic, unique, and just overall impressive voices that I think is singing today. So please go check out Rosalia's Lux. It is... I can't believe it. It's such a phenomenal piece of art. Like, I really wish I loved it more and I could put it number one. If there's any album that I'm going to talk about this year that deserves a number one placement, it's this album, man. She puts, again, I know I'm repeating myself a lot here, but you could just tell that this woman put so much effort into this. She poured her soul into it, and everybody should go and listen to it. It's fantastic. But unfortunately, there were albums this year that I did myself enjoy more than those, and I have to just be honest with my rankings. This is a purely subjective rankings. This is just what I enjoyed the most. So the next one on my list at number 35 is Rochelle Jordan's Through the Walls, and I enjoyed this one more than the last three because it's a deep house record with alternative R&B placed on top of it, and it's so chill. It makes you feel like you're in a high-end fancy restaurant and then the 30th floor of a tall building looking down on society. I don't know if that's a good thing, but it makes you feel so luxurious, this album. I love listening to it. I love deep house as a genre, and I think this is one of the best albums within that genre. Rochelle Johnson, or Jordan, I should say, I apologize, has such a fantastic voice, and it really adds to the album and just makes it so dynamic and beautiful to listen to. So if you want a good deep house dance album to listen to, Rochelle Jordan's Through the Walls is fantastic. At number 34, I have a phenomenal electronic album by a French artist named Oclou, and this is Choke Enough. This is the first album that I've ever listened to from this artist, and I was blown away. In fact, I think Harvest Sky is one of, if not definitely my top 5 songs of the entire year. I listened to that song so much throughout the year. I danced my ass off to it. I absolutely love this album. It's so much fun to listen to, and she actually performed this album live while pregnant, which is pretty badass. She was on stage singing her heart out with a big baby bump. It was pretty cool to see. This is a badass woman, and she made a badass album, and it's one of my favorite electronic albums of the year. I have Oclou's Choke Enough at number 34. At number 33, I have an album that I actually bought on vinyl. I bought 4 albums from 2025 on vinyl. It is expensive to buy vinyl these days. They're like $50 a pop, at least here in Canada. So I only got a few. So with the ones that I do have, I will show them to you guys. And this next album is FKA Twigs' Asexua, which is a beautiful album. I believe, yep, the album vinyl is see-through, not colored, I guess. It's see-through there. Can almost see you guys through that. A lot of cool inserts here. I don't even know if I can show this, though. It's probably a little too explicit. But a big, massive poster included by FKA Twigs. Even a little sticker there, but I don't really know what to do with it. I don't know where I'll actually place that, but this was a blast to listen to. I actually waited until I had this on vinyl to listen to the whole thing. And I was blown away. I had a really fun time with it. Unfortunately, it's not my favorite FKA Twigs album. There's still albums by her that I like a little bit more, but Perfect Stranger is one of my favorite songs from her for sure. So she's one of my favorite artists of all time, and I'm just happy to have another record by her. So I have Asexua at number 33. At number 32, I have a hardcore hip-hop album by a fantastic group called Clipping. If you saw my top 10 most horrifying albums video, you know that I'm a huge fan of Clipping. Dead Channel Sky, which came out this year, is another fantastic release by them. It doesn't quite live up to their previous couple releases. There Existed an Addiction to Blood, and Visions of Bodies Being Burned, I believe, is the other one. I don't think it quite lives up to those records, so unfortunately I had to put it a little bit lower on my list, but I love the group Clipping. They're one of my favorite hip-hop groups working today, and you should definitely go check it out because it's another fantastic release by them. Next up at number 31, I have Showbiz by Mike. Mike is a fantastic rapper. He's very, very consistent. He constantly puts out fantastic kind of lo-fi, chill, kind of in the vein of Navy Blue and Earl Sweatshirt kind of vibe hip-hop albums, and they're always fantastic. Unfortunately, he always ends up in kind of the 30 to 20 range on my list. I think when I did my top albums of 2023, he was also on that list, but a little bit lower. I don't know why, but there is just nothing explosive enough from him. There's nothing unique enough. There's nothing flashy enough from him that really puts him in my mind and makes me remember him and come back to his music. But every time I come back to his music, I'm always blown away because I'm like, this guy's a top level rapper. I just don't know why he's so forgettable for me. I don't know if it's his marketing isn't great enough. I don't know what it is. There's just something that's not clicking for me. Maybe it's just me personally, but this guy is so damn talented. So please go check him out. Please check out the album Showbiz. Give this guy some love because he deserves it. He's one of the greatest rappers working today. I just don't know what it is about him that he doesn't quite live up to some of the other names that I'm going to talk about here in a second, like my number 30 pick, Little Simz, who put out the album Lotus this year, which is just another fantastic release from her. And I truly think she is the greatest female rapper of all time. I'm hesitant to put her over Lauryn Hill. I love her to death. That Fugees album I play all the time. It's so iconic. But I think Little Simz, with her consistency here, I think you got to put her as the greatest female rapper to ever live. She has 4 albums that are just 10 out of 10 masterpieces, in my opinion. This one along with it. There's really no bad songs on the album at all. The only thing I would say is sometimes Little Simz songs kind of blend together. They're sometimes a little bit redundant. She still is a very creative artist, and this album Lotus is a little bit more personal. It's a little bit more somber, a little bit more reflective, and I really liked that from her. It showed a different side to her, and just very impressed with this album. Another fantastic release from her, and to me, she's the GOAT now. So at number 29, I have Tyler, the Creator's Don't Tap the Glass. I've always been a big fan of Tyler, the Creator, going back all the way to the Odd Future days. He was so funny to watch back then. Those early YouTube music videos of Tamale and I forget some of the other ones, but I used to giggle with my friends watching that stuff. And then obviously he grew up a little bit. You got Flower Boy, one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time. I remember listening to that with my sister quite a bit. That was kind of the first hip hop album me and my sister listened to together. It's the first one where she actually liked some of the songs. I wasn't just forcing her to listen to Wu-Tang or Biggie or stuff like that. So she enjoyed that record. It kind of had a little bonding experience there with her, and he's always had a special place in my heart. And then Igor comes out, and it's just this mind-blowing record, one of my favorites of all time. So funky and different, and all these new sounds. And ever since then, he's been kind of trying to live up to that same hype. And I think he's released a couple albums since then that have been of great quality, but not quite at that level of Igor. So I can't put this album any higher, unfortunately. For me, I'm just looking back to those days of Igor and Flower Boy and going, man, those were the days. That was peak Tyler. But this is still another fantastic album from Tyler, the Creator. A lot more energy on this one, I think, than his last couple. He's kind of in his rapping lane on this one, too. A lot of fun lyrics, a lot of fun bars, and just another fun album from Tyler, the Creator. He's one of the most consistent artists working today, one of the most creative for sure. And yeah, I have Don't Tap the Glass at number 29. At number 28, I have an album by Jid, God Does Like Ugly. Another fantastic name for an album. I like Jid. You know, he's a super, super talented rapper. Unfortunately, there's something about his vibe, something about the way he raps, the fact that he puts kind of rapping first and maybe the artistry second sometimes. Maybe that's why I don't always vibe with him. It's the same reason why I can't listen to Eminem anymore. I never really got into artists like Hopspin or stuff like that. There's guys who can blend it well, guys like Earl Sweatshirt, guys like Jid, guys like Lupe Fiasco, who can put that superb rapping ability that they have that just seem to rap better than anybody else alive. They can put that at the forefront, but also make a very creative and artistic and engaging album. And this is another fantastic album by Jid, but like I said, there's just something about him. There's just something about the way he raps, the way he's so concentrated on the rapping and not so much on the song structure, maybe, that he's not always my favorite rapper. So maybe that's why he's a little bit lower on my list, but I cannot overstate how impressive this album is. Jid is for sure one of the most talented rappers working today. I don't know anybody else besides like Eminem and maybe a couple people who can rap as fast as he can and spit out so many clever bars in quick succession. He is a super, super talented man, and you definitely should check out God Does Like Ugly. Next up at number 27, I have another fantastic hip-hop album. This one by Arm & Hammer. This one's called Mercy. I love Arm & Hammer. They're one of my favorite hip-hop duos working today. Billy Woods, Ulysses, and they just work so well together. Every album that they've put out I've pretty much liked, but I don't think this is their strongest album. Again, that's why it's a little bit lower on my list. It's not in my top 25. I think We Buy Diabetic Test Strips, which came out in 2023, is a superior record, at least to me. I like that one a little bit more. That was definitely pretty high on my top albums of 2023 list. And yeah, I really liked this one. I just wish I could like it more. Sometimes these Arm & Hammer albums, especially in the last couple that have come out, have felt sometimes a little bit redundant, sometimes a little bit like they're just doing the same thing over and over again, but they always come on with interesting beats. There's always a couple songs where you're like, whoa, that beat is super funky and weird and addictive, and I got to listen to that one over and over again. And of course, the two rappers are always on point with their pen game, always writing interesting lyrics, especially Billy Woods. He's one of the most interesting songwriters working today in hip hop or in any genre, really. I think he's supremely talented. We'll talk about him a little bit more later in my list because he had a solo record, which I liked quite a bit more. So Arm & Hammer's Mercy, I have at 27. At number 26, I have De La Soul's Cabin in the Sky. This was a surprise release. I wasn't expecting a De La Soul album in 2025, but it's fantastic to see, and it's a pretty great album. It kind of reminds me of when A Tribe Called Quest came back, I think in 2016, and they made that album, We've Got It From Here, and you didn't really expect a Tribe Called Quest album in 2016, but they made one, and it turned out to be one of the best hip-hop albums of the entire year, and I think De La Soul did the same thing here. Now, if I was more of an old head, if I was more into that 90s hip hop and that was kind of my vibe, maybe this album would be a lot higher on my list because it does bring back that 90s style, but in a new way with cleaner production and great songwriting too. There's so many fantastic lyrics on this album, but like I said, I'm a little bit more adjusted to the 2010s, 2020s hip hop period because that's what I grew up with, right? So maybe this style just isn't quite for me. That's why it's a little bit lower on my list, but this is a fantastic album. If you like De La Soul, if you like Tribe Called Quest, if you like that early chill 90s hip hop stuff, you're going to love this album. So definitely go check out Cabin in the Sky by De La Soul. Very chill album. Definitely put it on while you're cleaning the house or something like that. It's great for that kind of stuff. So I have that at number 26. Let's move on to the top 25. So kicking us off at number 25, I have Navy Blues, The Sword and the Soaring. I love that title for an album as well. Another one of my favorites. Navy Blue is an artist that I got put onto through Earl Sweatshirt when I listened to some rap songs. I think he was featured on one of those songs. And I got addicted to him because he sounds... At first, I thought he sounded identical to Earl Sweatshirt, but the more I listened to him, the more I realized this guy does have his own sound. He has his own voice, and he's his own creative talent. And he put out, I think, his best album he's ever released in The Sword and the Soaring. I really, really liked this album. Another very chill, lo-fi, down-to-earth hip-hop record with lots of great lyrics, lots of introspective songwriting, and Navy Blue is... Again, kind of like Mike, I don't know why I keep forgetting about him. I don't know why he doesn't stick in my mind more. I don't know why I keep coming back to Earl Sweatshirt more than Navy Blue. But Navy Blue and Mike, man, they're two incredibly overlooked hip-hop artists with so much talent. And this Navy Blue album is one of the best hip-hop albums that I heard all year. Please go check it out. Moving on from that, at number 24, I have Preservation's Sortilege. Now, Preservation is a legendary hip-hop producer. If you haven't heard of him, it's okay. He's a little bit more underground. He's not as well known as guys like Madlib, as guys like Jay Dilla or RZA or Kanye West, of course. He's a lesser known hip hop producer, but he is phenomenally talented, and I think this is his best release he's ever put out. The instrumentals on this are so mind blowing and impressive, and if you're into that kind of music, that sample heavy stuff like The Alchemist, I think you're gonna like this record a lot. He put an album out in 2020 with a plethora of fantastic artists, hip hop artists on it, called Eastern Medicine, Western Illness, and I really, really like that hip hop album. A lot of people haven't heard it, and it really sucks. I wish more people have, but I constantly give that album out to people who want some new recommendations for hip hop music. There's a track on there with Mock Homie. It's one of my favorite Mock Homie songs of all time. It's fantastic, and this album again just I think surpasses it. It's very, very impressive stuff. This is one of the greatest hip hop producers working today. If you're into the hip hop genre, you should definitely be checking this album out. Next up at number 23, I have Freddie Gibbs's Alfredo 2. Now, this album was produced by The Alchemist, who I just mentioned previously, and it's a fantastic album to follow up the first Alfredo record. Now, unfortunately, the only problem that I have with the Alfredo records are that they're not the Madlib records. That's really the only thing. These Alfredo records that Freddie Gibbs has made with The Alchemist are two of the best hip-hop albums to come out over the last 5 years. They are fantastic albums. Great rapping. Freddie Gibbs has one of, if not the greatest flow out of any rapper rapping today. Everything that comes out of his mouth is just so smooth and just flows together so well. It's just magical the way this guy raps. I highly recommend checking out some of his freestyles, especially the one that he did with his little kid sitting on his lap at the radio station. I forget who posted that one, but it's so damn impressive. One of the most impressive rappers working today. And then, of course, The Alchemist, one of the most impressive hip-hop producers working today. He's so damn consistent with his work. He makes so many great albums with so many different hip-hop artists. I really can't say enough great things about him, but like I just said, he's not Madlib. And for me, Madlib is the greatest hip-hop producer of all time. For me, those albums that he made with Freddie Gibbs, Pinata and Bandana, just surpass Alfredo 1 and 2, and I come back and listen to those more than I do the Alfredo records. So as much as I liked Alfredo 1 and 2, I can't put them higher on my list because whenever I listen to Freddie Gibbs, I'm constantly coming back to Pinata and Bandana. So that's really the only reason why it's lower on my list. Freddie Gibbs is truly one of my favorite rappers working today. And he's very, very funny. I love watching his interviews. If you've never watched his interviews before, the guy is a grade A comedian, honestly. Moving on from that, at number 22, I have Earl Sweatshirt's Live, Laugh, Love. The album title that I hate the most of 2025. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but whenever I see those live, laugh, love signs in people's homes, I'm like, my God, that's the most generic thing you could possibly put on your walls. It just shows that you have no taste at all. I don't know. It probably bothers me more than it should, but I think Earl Sweatshirt was kind of being funny with naming his album Live, Laugh, Love. It is a great, saying, that's what you're supposed to do in life. Live your life, laugh a lot, and love a lot. It's a good thing to say. My mom had these signs in her house, so maybe that's also why it annoys me a little bit, but this album is fantastic. The only reason why, again, I know I'm justifying why these albums are lower on my list quite a bit in this video, but the only reason why I didn't put this album higher is truly because, again, like a lot of the albums I mentioned earlier, it's not Earl's best. Honestly, my favorite album by Earl is Some Rap Songs, and I don't think that is ever going to change. It's one of my favorite hip-hop albums of all time. I put it right up there with like Mad Villainy, Enter the 36 Chambers. It's one of my most listened to hip-hop albums ever. I still listen to it lots to this day. And Live, Laugh, Love is just more of the same. It's more in that vein, but it's a little bit less jarring. It's a little bit less, interesting and unique, and it takes less risks, I find, than Some Rap Songs did. So I like this album a lot. For me, it's almost like a B-side to Some Rap Songs. Both albums are about 30 minutes long, so they're pretty short, and it just goes to add more to the Earl catalog, but I don't really see it as a next step in his career. I don't see it really as an evolution as much as that Some Rap Songs album was, because that was revolutionary when it came out. Earl's sound before Some Rap Songs and Earl's sound after Some Rap Songs is very, very different. So that's the only reason why it's a little bit lower on my list, but I really, really liked this record, and Earl Sweatshirt is one of my favorite rappers working today. I know I've said that about quite a few people on my list, but like I said, this was such a fantastic year for music. So many great rappers put out so many great albums, and rap is my most listened to genre, so that's why it's kind of dominating my list, especially in the past 10 picks. I think they've all been rap albums, so I apologize for that. Things will switch up in the top 25, but next up I have another rap album. Apologies. At number 21, I have McKinley Dixon's Magic Alive. I wish I could have put this higher on my list. I really do. This is such a fantastic hip hop album. It's probably the most impressive one that I listened to all year. Seriously, the beats on it, the progressions, the songwriting. Oh my God, this guy is such a talented songwriter. The lyrics on this are things that I want to write down and put on my wall. Like, this guy's so damn talented. The only thing with it is it's a little bit slower, it's a little bit more lo-fi, and it's a little bit too happy. It's a little bit too joyous. I know that I seem like I might like those kind of albums by how I present myself in this video, but I like dark music. That's my go-to. Like I said, my most listened to genre out of all of 2025 was black metal. That was the genre of music that I listened to the most. So when it comes to hip hop music, I like more aggressive stuff. I like the Billy Woods, the Clippings, the Death Grips. I like that stuff a little bit more than the De La Souls, the Tribe Called Quests, and the McKinley Dixons of the world. So that's the only reason why it's lower on my list. But this is probably the most impressive hip hop album that I've heard all year. This guy is so damn talented. I know a lot of people kind of in the underground scene know about McKinley Dixon because of his talent, but a lot of people in the mainstream don't. They don't listen to his music because it's not on the radio as much as guys like Drake and Kendrick Lamar and, you know, the top selling hip hop artists. But this guy deserves a spot amongst them. He is just as talented as Drake and Kendrick and all the rest of them. So please go listen to McKinley Dixon's new album, Magic Alive. It's fantastic. Let's move on now to the top 20. At number 20, I have Hiramik's Seeking Darkness. You may know Hiramik from the band Parannoul. Fantastic band. Highly recommend checking them out. But this solo effort here, Seeking Darkness, man, I really wish I could put this in my top 10. I wanted to. I really wanted to, but to be honest, I'm not quite there yet on this record. I love it so much. There are progressions on this that blow my mind apart, but it is an industrial rock album, and industrial rock is still something that I'm trying to work myself into. I've warmed up to black metal over this past year. I've warmed up to some pretty aggressive, pretty abrasive genres of music, but still the industrial and noise stuff is a little bit difficult for me to wrap my head around. I'm trying my best. There have been industrial albums that I love a lot, like Daughters, You Won't Get What You Want, but I even like some of the Nine Inch Nails stuff quite a bit, but this one is pretty challenging for me, and I think I need to listen to it a few more times before it really cracks into my top 10 albums of 2025. But I know that this album has a potential to be one of my favorite albums of all time if it clicks with me. But if you're more into that stuff, if you're more into noise, industrial music, very harsh listening, I think you're going to love this album. It is so well done. I think it's an hour exactly. I don't know how that worked out, but I think the album runtime is exactly an hour, so that's pretty cool. Just a fantastic album. And so yeah, I hope this album finds some of you guys, and some of you guys really, really enjoy it. It's a fantastic album out of Korea. I don't normally listen to music from Korea because in my mind, Korean music's just K-pop music. I know that's completely false, but I was really blown away by this one. I guess I should have known from listening to Parannoul, but yeah, I was blown away. Really, really blown away by this one. Like I said, I hope with more listens, I grasp it a little bit more and it becomes more and more one of my favorite albums of all time because I know it has that potential. So yeah, I have Seeking Darkness at number 20. At number 19, I have Imperial Triumphant's Gold Star. This is another fantastic album by Imperial Triumphant. They are an avant-garde, dissonant black metal band. If you're into metal, you're probably going to enjoy this band. Gold Star is one of the best albums I think they've put out. I really liked Vile Luxury from 2018 and Alphaville from 2020. So this is just another fantastic album by them. It's a little bit easier for me to listen to. That's the only reason why I put it above Seeking Darkness. But I do think Hiramik, I hope I'm saying that right, Hiramik's Seeking Darkness, I do think it's a superior album, all things considered, than Imperial Triumphant's Gold Star. But like I said, I click with Gold Star a little bit more. It's a little bit easier for me to listen to. So I have that at number 19. At number 18, I have La Disputes, No One Was Driving the Car. Another fantastic name for an album. La Dispute is a post-hardcore emo band, and that's a genre that's very interesting. It's one that I've only gotten into rather recently, and La Dispute was one of the albums that really pushed me across the line into accepting that genre, I guess. And No One Was Driving the Car it's awesome, man. It's raw, it's guttural, it's cathartic, cuts right to the point, and it's emotional. It's hits you in your feels in great ways. It scratches itches too. And I just loved it so much. I had a lot of fun with this album. I have it at number 18. At number 17, I have Honningbara's Soft Spot. This is a band out of Norway, I believe. But listening to music from all over the world this year, it's quite impressive the amount of different countries I was able to cover this year. It's so cool to hear music from different countries, and this is kind of one of the first albums that I've heard from Norway that wasn't a black metal album, and this is a really, really fun album. It's a post-punk hard rock album, I guess you would call it, post-hardcore. It's very aggressive, a little abrasive, but I don't think it's too inaccessible. I think this is a lot of fun listening to this album, and for me, I struggle a little bit with hardcore music. Again, it's almost like industrial and noise music. I'm not quite there yet, so the fact that I was able to enjoy this one quite a bit, I think a lot of people will be able to check this one out and find some things that they love about it. It's a very, very fun album, very aggressive, very mean, and yeah, I don't know what else to say other than it was a lot of fun. I have that at number 17. At number 16, I have Der Weg einer Freiheit in Nern. This was definitely my favorite album cover of the entire year. Just look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. I don't know if beautiful is the right word, but it's so cool looking. I don't know what it is about it. All the spikes and the red, and it almost feels like it's in a mist. I don't know. It's a cool album cover. I liked it. And this is a cool album too. This is a black metal album. Like I said earlier, black metal was my most listened to genre in 2025. So this album was one of my favorites from the year for sure. I listened to it quite a bit. It's very aggressive, very dark. It holds the tension from the first song to the last. And yeah, very impressed with this band. I've never listened to them before, but I'm planning to listen to them a bunch in the future. And I can't wait for their next release. Nern was fantastic. I have it at number 16. And at number 15, I have another black metal album, this one by Yellow Eyes. It's called Confusion Gate. This is an atmospheric black metal album, and again, holds the tension throughout the entire album. Very atmospheric, makes you feel like, well, I think a lot of black metal albums make you feel this way, but makes you feel like you're in a lonely forest at night, maybe just on the verge of night when the sun's coming down and there's like a mist around you. That's the feeling I get listening to this album, and that's exactly what you want from black metal. So another fantastic black metal album. I have Yellow Eyes' Confusion Gate at number 15. At number 14, I have Nourished by Time's The Passionate Ones, and this one certainly could rise on my list with more and more listens. This is a very chill album. I think it's called chill wave, the genre that it encompasses, and it's so chill. I don't know what other word to use for it. You throw this album on when you have a lazy day, when you have a Sunday where you're not really doing anything, you're just sitting on your bed kind of thinking about things. Maybe you don't have that much time in your life. Maybe you don't have that luxury, but if you ever have a time where you're just cleaning the house or just trying to relax a little bit, I think this is an album that can really chill you out and make you feel some good vibes. It's definitely an album that I think will, like I said, rise on my list the more I listen to it. I just don't think I listened to it quite enough throughout 2025 for it to make my top 10, but it's a fantastic album, and really it's one of the most accessible albums on my list, so everybody watching this video should go check it out if you haven't listened to it already. I have Nourished by Time's The Passionate Ones at 14, and at number 13, I have Agriculture's The Spiritual Sound. So Agriculture is actually a band that I had never listened to before 2025, but as I've mentioned many times throughout this video, black metal was my most listened to genre of the past year, and for me, the subgenres of black metal that I gravitate to the most are atmospheric black metal, stuff like Agalosh and bands like that, and black gaze. I really love Deaf Heaven. I'll be mentioning them later on my list. I love bands like Sadness. I love bands like Alcest. All of those bands, the black gaze genre, for me, it just clicks. It just scratches an itch for me. I don't know if it's where I'm at in my life right now, what exactly it is, but for me, I gravitate towards black gaze quite a bit, and this is a fantastic black gaze record, The Spiritual Sound. Very abrasive, though, within the albums in the black gaze scene, I would say. A little bit more difficult to listen to than something like Sadness, but I had a great time with this album. It was boundary pushing and pushed me into some different sounds. So Agriculture's The Spiritual Sound I have at number 13. At number 12, I have another black album metal. This one I enjoyed quite a bit more. It's from Varuva, which is a band out of Brazil. Funny enough, I never thought I'd be listening to Brazilian black metal, but here we are, and it's Mar da Deriva. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't speak any Portuguese at all. Took a little bit of Spanish, but Portuguese, ugh. I apologize, my my Brazilian viewers, but this was a fantastic album. My God, it's only 2 tracks. I think both tracks are 20 to 30 minutes long. Great progressions. I love the way this album builds up and turns into something spectacular by the end of it. Just so many dark and gloomy and dismal sounds on it. It makes me feel the way I want black metal to make me feel. I don't know. It's very effective, and I have that at number 12. Next up at number 11, I have my most listened to album of 2025. Now, you might be thinking, your most listened to album, wouldn't that be your number one pick? Shouldn't that be number one? Isn't that your favorite? Not necessarily. This album is short, very, very short. I think it's like 20 minutes long, maybe 30 minutes at most. It's very, very short, very sweet, and very, very addictive. And every couple years, an album comes out that is too addictive to make any sense to anybody else. I like it so damn much. I keep listening to it, and everybody else is like, yeah, that album's okay, but I don't get why you listen to it all the time. A couple examples would be Die Lit by Playboi Carti. I know a lot of people feel the same way about that one. It's so addictive. I don't know why, but I keep coming back to it. I keep listening to it. The sounds are so infectious. Another one would be, I think it's called Afterlife, the 2023 album by Yeet. Didn't get the greatest reviews. Not a lot of people like that album, but for some reason, it's so addictive to me. And it's the same thing with my number 11 pick this year, SD Kids Rebel. I have never heard a Scouse rapper before in my life. Never, ever, ever have I listened to rap from Liverpool, but my God, do I need more of it. The Scouse accent sounds so cool in rap form. It's the coolest thing I've heard all year. It's so addictive. Every little turn of phrase that he has, every little bar, I just want to repeat it 1,000 times in the same accent. I'm not English. I have no business repeating that accent, but there's something addictive about it. And the production on this album, my God. It's the same thing with the Yeet album. It's the same thing with the Playboi Carti album. It's so infectious. It's so new. It's so revolutionary in the trap scene. I don't know. I think this album's going to go down as very, very influential. And I know so many people that have listened to it that absolutely love it. I wish I could have put it in my top 10, but there are some albums that I do think are better. I think I enjoyed them more, and I think I'm going to listen to them more throughout my lifetime than SD Kids Rebel. But for 2025, there was no album that I listened to more than this one. It's so much fun, especially when you're driving. Be safe. Don't speed. But when you're driving, this album hits pretty hard. So let's move on now to the top 10. So kicking off our top 10, I told you we would be returning to Billy Woods, and here I have Billy Woods' Gollywog. This is another fantastic album produced by Kenny Siegel, who produced his album Hiding Places a few years ago. That is still my favorite Billy Woods album. It just scratches so many itches for me. There's so many lines on it that I find so amusing and interesting and captivating. And on this one, Billy Woods goes deeper down the rabbit hole. There's a lot of instrumentals on this album that are very heavily inspired by horror films, and his lyrics are also heavily horror inspired as well. I wouldn't say this is a Halloween album or anything like that, but this one does go deeper down the rabbit hole. I think it's possibly the best album he's ever made. It's hard to say because Billy Woods has made literally like 10 masterpiece albums. He's one of the most consistent rappers of all time. So damn talented, but this one, the only thing for it with me, the only reason why it's not in my top 5, the only reason why it's not my favorite album of 2025 is, again, I'm not prepared for it. I got to listen to it more. It's a little bit jarring. There's some songs on this where the instrumentals are so damn jarring. I just can't connect with them quite yet. And there's some lyrics on it that I find a little bit goofy. I'm not going to give you guys examples, but Billy Woods is a rapper that I don't always agree with his political or moral stances that he takes, but I find him to be an incredibly interesting rapper nonetheless. I do think that he's possibly the most talented poet in all of rap today, and that's putting him up against Kendrick Lamar, Ka, the greatest poets alive. I think Billy Woods stands up there with the greatest of them. He is truly a master wordsmith, and I think he should go down as one of the greatest poets of our generation. He is so damn talented, and definitely check this one out if you like Billy Woods, or if you like, rappers that put a lot of effort into their lyrics, into building stories, into building worlds. Billy Woods definitely does that here on Gollywog. For my top 10, I'll probably give you guys my favorite songs from each of the album. albums. With the last one, like for Rebel, for SD Kid, the whole album was my favorite song. There's not one song that I could pick out. But for Billy Woods' Gollywog, I think Corinthians was my favorite song on the album. So if there's one song that you guys should go check out, I think it's Corinthians. I think that's the best song on the album. But you guys let me know which one's your favorite from that album. It was a fantastic release by Billy Woods. I really wish I could put it higher, but I think I need to listen to it a little bit more and get adjusted to the jarring instrumentals on it, because it's quite a bit more abrasive than Hiding Places. It goes deeper, like I said, deeper down the rabbit hole. That's the best way to describe it for me. So Billy Woods, Gollywog at number 10. At number 9, I have Maruja's Pain to Power. And oh my God, I love the saxophone. It's my favorite instrument of all time. I have never heard a saxophone put into a rock album, especially a post-rock album. I would classify this as probably a post-rock album, and it sounds so damn good. It's so dizzying when the saxophone comes in. It's sedating at times. It's soothing at times. The saxophone is like the star of the show. Again, with this album, there's some lyrics, there's some songwriting on it that I think's a little goofy at times, or I think's a little bit weird, or I don't exactly vibe with. But there's also some lyrics on this album that I think are incredibly beautiful. In fact, some of the most beautiful lyrics that I heard all year were on this album. But I don't think the lead singer was the lead of the band at all. I think what led this album, what led this band, is that saxophone. That saxophone sounds so damn cool on this album. I promise you, if you love that instrument, you're gonna adore this album. It is so damn cool to listen to, and I think it's some of the most impressive saxophone playing I've ever heard in my life. Now, I wouldn't call myself a jazz head. I do know my history of jazz from the great Ken Burns documentary and watching some other documentaries on YouTube. And I listen to quite a bit of jazz, but I usually come back to the same 9 or 10 artists and just recycle those. You know, I'm always listening to Miles Davis, John Coltrane. I know it's boring, but I just keep coming back to them. So I'm not the most experienced in the genre of jazz. So maybe there's other saxophone players out there that far surpass the man who's in Maruja. But my God, this was such an impressive performance. And the way it blends with the music, it's so heavy at times and aggressive, and then at times it's very soft and joyful and almost peaceful. And this album just blends together so many sounds. It feels like being caught in a tornado of jazz music and rock music and so many different genres. It's really, really powerful stuff. It's some of the most creative music I think I've listened to all 2025, and it's definitely an album that you have to check out. Just listen to it at least once. If I had a favorite song off of this album, it would definitely be Saoirse or Break the Tension. Break the Tension there's a lot of energy on that one. I highly recommend it. If you want a song that kind of captures Maruja's vibe completely, I would say it's Break the Tension. Definitely check that song out. Check out the entire album. And that saxophone, my God, I can't get it out of my head. It's literally playing in my head right now as I think of the album. So definitely go check out Maruja's Pain to Power. I have that at number 9. At number 8, I have Blut aus Nord, Ethereal Horizons. This was one of my most anticipated black metal albums of the entire year, and it did not let me down. Blut aus Nord was a band, I should say, I've been listening to for quite a while now. They have a lot of my favorite black metal albums. I highly recommend checking out their entire discography. They have very few weak releases, if any at all, and Ethereal Horizons might be the best album they've ever made. It is aggressive, it's grand and ethereal, and it makes you feel like you're in a huge cathedral, like a dark cathedral. I don't know. It's not so much of the forest vibe that I had with Yellow Eyes, but it's more of like a cathedral of gothic intensity. I don't know how else to put it, but man, Blut aus Nord came through with this one. This is a huge album, and very, very intense. I really, really, really enjoyed this one. So if you're into black metal or even just metal in general, I think you're going to be able to appreciate this album quite a bit. I think it was one of, if not the greatest, metal release of the year. But I have a couple more that I'm going to touch on that I think were a little bit better, including my number 7 pick by Drutk called Shadowplay. Now, Drutk is an artist, I hope I'm saying the band name right, is an artist out of Ukraine. I think it's a solo guy. I think it's just one guy who does the music, but I'm not 100% certain. I actually haven't dug in that deep into his biography or who this guy is, but he's made quite a few of my favorite black metal albums. Blood in Our Wells and Forgotten Legends being two two of them, two of my favorite black metal, black gaze, atmospheric black metal albums that I've ever heard in my life. And Shadowplay from 2025 is just another great addition to his super impressive discography. I know some people don't like the guy for some of his political views that he holds. You know, he is a Ukrainian nationalist with some maybe edgy racist views here and there, but I try to separate that from the music itself, and I think the music itself is absolutely gorgeous. I think it's some of the best black metal I've ever heard in my life, and it's very intense. This artist for sure definitely makes you feel like you're in a forest. I think if there's one black metal artist that really makes me feel like I'm in the wilderness, just completely lost from all humanity, it's definitely Drutk. And this is a fantastic black metal album. Highly recommend it. And my favorite song off of Shadowplay, I should also mention, was The Eve. And I totally missed the Blutos Nord album. Going back to that one, my favorite track off of Ethereal Horizons was definitely, this is such a cool song name too, Shadows Breathe First. What a fantastic name for a song, eh? So that's my favorite song off the Blutos Nord album, and off the Druk album, it would be The Eve. So moving on to number 6 now, I have Geese's Getting Killed, and this album, I had such a special relationship with it throughout the year. At first, I thought it was the most overrated album of 2025. I did not understand why people liked it. Like I said, maybe it's because I was listening to so much black metal and the indie stuff, the softer, slower stuff just wasn't really vibing with me for most of the year. And I thought this album was overrated. I'm like, I don't get why people like it. I don't get why it's getting the Album of the Year title already. But I listened to it more and more. I gave it a chance. And the more I listened to it, the more it climbed my rankings. It was probably around number 50 at first, and then I had it in my top 25, and then I had it in my top 15, and then I almost put it in my top 5, but it didn't quite make it there. But I promise you, if I listened to it a few more times, it probably would make my top 5. This probably will eventually become one of my favorite albums of all time. It's very addicting. There's so much I love about it, from the lead singer. I don't know his name. I'll probably throw it up on screen, though, because he deserves a shout-out. He's so interesting. He's kind of in between Neutral Milk Hotel and Tom York from Radiohead, but he's got his own voice. He's definitely drawn from Tom York. You can hear it quite a bit, but he's got his own unique voice that's so out there and like nothing I've ever heard before. And he draws out his whatever word he's singing in the song in such an interesting way, and it's stuff that I can sing, you know. It's not super difficult stuff like The Weeknd hitting notes where there's no way I'm hitting The Weeknd's notes, but stuff like Geese, I could sing a little bit, you know. He's within my register a little bit more. So, but this album is so much fun. It's so much fun. The songwriting's great on it, but the instrumentation and the way it builds up, the way each song builds up is so unique and in a good way. Like, it's not unique in that it's abrasive or weird. It takes time to adjust. Maybe it did for me because I didn't get it right away, but it's so there's an addictiveness to it. Like, you just come back to it and you just want to keep listening to the same sounds over and over again because they're new and they're fresh. I think if there's one word to describe this entire album, it's fresh. This feels like new music. It feels really, really fresh. So for me, my favorite songs on the album, let me pull them up here because there are quite a few. I liked so many songs off of it, but the first one that I heard was, I think they performed it on Jimmy Fallon or something. I saw it on YouTube. I don't really watch Jimmy Fallon that much, but they performed it on some late night show, and it was Taxes. And I really liked that song. I liked the lyrics to it. I thought that there was some interesting vibes going on there. It really made me think about it. And the vocal performances on it were very impressive too. And then as I listened to the album more and more, Bow Down became one of my favorites. APDC, I really, really like that one. I love singing it in the car. And my absolute favorite song on the album, I sing it to my girlfriend all the time, is Cobra. The way he starts that song with the baby, I sing that to my girlfriend and she just cracks up laughing and we have a great time with it. I love that song, Cobra. Definitely one of my favorite songs of the entire year, and Geese's Getting Killed just keeps climbing my rankings. It's at number 6 today at the time of making this video, but it could easily be number 1 on my list. It is so much fun. I highly recommend checking it out, even if you're not into indie rock, because like I said, I wasn't at the start of the year, and it hooked me. It won me over. So I have Geese's Getting Killed at number 6. So now we get into the top 5, the 5 albums that I enjoyed the most throughout 2025, and at number 5, I have Sadness That Lasts Forever. The band is Sadness, and the name of the album is That Lasts Forever. So it's kind of cute how they go together there. Now, Sadness is one of my favorite music artists that I've come across in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. They are a singular person. I forget the guy's name. I'm going to throw it up on screen right now. I should know it by heart because this guy is so damn talented. But basically, this kid lives somewhere in South America, I believe, and he worked on all of his music basically completely by himself. He did the vocals, he did the instrumentation, he did the sound mixing. Everything he did was by himself, and he has one of the most impressive catalogs ever. This guy's made probably close to 100 albums already, and they're pretty consistent in quality. There's only a few that I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever come back to this one. This one's a little bit dull, but a lot of them are of very, very high quality. Some of the best black gaze metal you will ever hear in your life. Like I said, black gaze is combining black metal with shoegaze, and for me, it's just a genre that clicks for me. It scratches my itches, and I love the genre so much. And for me, Sadness is one of the most impressive artists in that scene. Now, I think a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, they finally got, I think, 11 members to kind of join the band now and make a band so that they can play the music live. Before that, this was all kind of just coming out of a bedroom. I don't know if he was literally making it in his bedroom, but just one guy was making all this fantastic music. And this new album, That Lasts Forever, it's beautiful. Like, it's truly, truly beautiful. And the third song on the album, The Light That Brims, I'm forgetting the rest of the name. One second. The Light That Brims the Clouds. That's the name of the full song. It's one of my favorite songs of the entire year. Definitely in my top 5. I would say Cobra by Geese is definitely in there. I would say the Oclu, Harvest Sky is definitely in my top 5 favorite songs of the year. And this one too, for sure. The Light That Brims the Clouds. It's beautiful. The way it builds up, that piano, the release at the end, it's a pretty powerful song. I mean, all 5 songs on this album are powerful, but that middle track for me, that's the best one. That's the one that hooked me the most, at least. And Sadness is really an artist that I want you guys to go check out. So just give this guy some listens, even if the music's not for you. This guy deserves it. He's so hardworking, and he's made some fantastic music. And like I said, mostly on his own, which is so damn impressive to me. So hopefully we get more and more records from Sadness in the future. Hopefully they get more and more refined, and hopefully they start to blow up a little bit. I'm with you guys. A lot of you guys like your artists to stay underground and stay niche, so you like them and you can hog them all to yourselves. But sometimes it is nice to see those artists kind of get into the mainstream, get onto the big stage, and get the fame that they deserve. Because there's so many artists on my list today that, a lot of them have couple thousand, maybe 100,000 listeners, monthly listeners on Spotify. They're not the biggest artists in the world, but everyone who I've mentioned today deserves more views, more praise, more hype, more love, and more attention. So I think Sadness epitomizes that, at least for me. Out of the 5 records that I'm going to name here in my top 5, this is definitely the one that was the least listened to, I think, out of all of them. So definitely go check out Sadness, That Lasts Forever. It's a beautiful, beautiful album. I loved it so much. So I have that at number 5. At number 4, I have an album that I was looking forward to so much. One of my favorite bands of all time, maybe my singular favorite band ever, because I listen to them so much. I constantly come back to their music. They make up so many of my playlists. Their vibe and their atmosphere is just perfectly tuned to me. I don't know what it is about it, but the beauty and violence of Deftones. And this year, in 2025, they came out with the album Private Music, which I did buy on vinyl, of course. I pre-ordered it. I had to have it immediately. It came in this beautiful, let's see if I could pull it out here, this beautiful kind of sweetheart, almost like. It looks like that sweetheart candy. Beautiful blue there, and it looks amazing when it's spinning on the player. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's their best album since Koi no Yokan, which came out, I think, in 2012. Their album in 2016, Gore, I like it. I like it more than a lot of people like it. I like it more than a lot of Deftones fans like it, but I don't think it's one of their greatest albums. And Ohms, I was not the biggest fan of when it came out in 2020, but this one, I like quite a lot. There's some songs on here that I really, really like My Mind is a Mountain, Milk of the Madonna. Those were both the singles that came out before the album came out. I loved those a lot. And then when the album came out and I heard CXZ, That's a pretty mind-blowing track. Infinite Source is also awesome. This is a really, really solid Deftones album, and like I said, they're maybe my favorite band of all time. I wouldn't go out and say that they're the best band to ever make music, or they're the greatest band to ever make music. I wouldn't make that kind of claim, but they are really high amongst my personal favorites. There's just something about their sound, the way they create an atmosphere. I love just drifting away listening to Deftones. One of my favorite albums, one of my favorite bands, and one of my favorite albums of the year. So that's why it's so high on my list, because I'm a huge, huge Deftones fan. So I have Deftones, Private Music at number 4. At number 3, I have an album that I wish I had on vinyl right now to show to you guys. I'm probably going to pick it up at some point, but when I went to go buy it, they were out of stock, unfortunately. This is, for me, for sure, the best hip-hop album of the year. Probably one of the best hip-hop albums I've heard in the last 5 years. I don't know if I've heard anything this good since To Pimp a Butterfly, truly. This album is magnificent. It is so flawless from the first track to the last. The production is an 11 out of 10. The rapping is going to be an 11 out of 10 when you have Pusha T coming through with Let God Sort Him Out. My God, this is a gangster album, man. I like this one more than Kendrick Lamar's GNX that came out last year. I like this more than just about any hip-hop album I've heard in the last 5 years. The production is so addicting. It's like the album Daytona, but ramped up to 11. Pusha T comes through on this album with his best bars I think he's ever laid out, he's ever written. His flow on this is immaculate. His delivery is always insane. I think Pusha T, for me, has the best delivery out of any rapper who has ever lived. And what I mean by delivery is just the way words come out of his mouth. Everyone just has an oomph to it. You know, that's Pusha T. There's just so much to it. Every time he pushes a word out, there's a feeling to it, you know, you feel it in your soul. With other rappers, you know, they kind of glide over words and they're rapping things together and it's more about the overall structure of the verse. But with Pusha T, he gets everything out of every single word. He squeezes every word dry of what it's worth. And he might not be the fastest rapper in the world. He might not have a flow like Freddie Gibbs, but man, his delivery, I think, is the best that we've ever heard in hip-hop. I put him above, you know, guys like 50 Cent, guys like Biggie Smalls, guys with like immaculate delivery like that. I think Pusha T is the best of all of them. And this album is just so great. It has got so many great features on it, from the Kendrick Lamar feature to the Tyler, the Creator feature. There's just so many great features on it as well. There's no like soft spot on the album. There's no skips. There's no dull points at all. At all times, the production is creative and innovative and pushing you into a different direction. And I can't say enough good things about it. I really wish I had it on vinyl. I've been listening to it a lot this year. I did listen to SD Kid's Rebel more just because it was more addicting to me. But every time I came back to Clips's Let God Sort Him Out, I'm so impressed by this record. I really didn't think Pusha T had this in him. Like, I knew he could make a fantastic record, a 9 out of 10 record. I knew he was capable of even a masterpiece, because I think Daytona is a masterpiece despite it only being 7 songs. But this is truly one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, period. I put it up there with Illmatic, with Enter the 36 Chambers. It's amongst that ilk and that echelon, I think. So, wow, just mind-blowing record from I guess it's not technically Pusha T. I'm giving too much credit to Pusha T here. It's Clips that is the artist, the group that put this out, so I should probably give a little bit of credit to his partner there. Malice is his name. I was blanking on that for a second there, but Malice also comes through with some fantastic rapping on this album. And if you've listened to Clips before, like Hell Hath No Fury and some of their other albums, they're one of the most impressive duos in all of hip-hop. They're right up there with Outkast, in my opinion. And Malice comes through on this album. The most impressive I've heard him on any Clips album, actually. I think this is his most impressive rapping, some of his best penmanship as well. So I'll give the full credit. It's not just Pusha T. Clips came out with Let God Sort Him Out, which is, to me, the best rap album of the entire year. So I have that at number 3. Moving on to number 2, I have an album that I do have on vinyl, and this was probably my most anticipated album of the year, along with Deftones. My two favorite bands, I would say, if I had to narrow it down to two, it's hard to leave Radiohead out of this, but I really like Radiohead. But for me, it's Deftones and Swans. Swans is the other band, I should say, that I adore greatly. They hold a very special place in my heart, and they're a band that I could probably make the claim are the best band to ever make music. I could probably make a pretty solid claim that Swans is the greatest band to ever make music. And I think it just shows with this release in 2025, they come out with another masterpiece album in Birthing. Another masterpiece album, and they just don't stop. They just keep coming out with more. This band has been making music since the early 1980s, and they have over 10 masterpiece albums, in my opinion, which puts them in an era that I don't think the Beatles rival. I don't think Radiohead rivals. I don't think The Cure or any other band really quite touches. I don't know if any of those bands have 10 masterpiece albums across nearly a 50-year period. And Swans has done that. They over 40 years they've produced masterpiece after masterpiece, reinventing themselves, pushing genres past what's possible, and they don't even have their own genre. You call it post-rock, but really Swans should have its own genre of music. The closest thing to them is Godspeed You Black Emperor, but there's no vocalist like Michael Gira in that band. You know, Swans has Michael Gira. They have that creative head who's been consistent from the start of the band to the end and has a voice that is transformative. I don't know how else to put his voice. It's transcendent. It's ethereal. It's not the most technically perfect. He doesn't hit notes like The Weeknd or sing like Frank Ocean, but Michael Gira has a powerful voice, one of the most powerful voices in all of music history, and his band is the most grand I've ever heard. If there's one band that sounds closest to an orchestra, it's Swans. Swans is the closest thing for me to classical music, to someone like Bach or Beethoven. So this album, for me, Birthing, it's not their best album. I wouldn't even put it in their top 5, but that's how powerful of a band Swans is, that their 6th or 7th best album turns out to be one of my top 2 albums of the year. I honestly could have put this number 1. There was just one album that I liked a little bit more, honestly, but Swans to me, if you had to pin me down, or if aliens came down and they asked me, who is the best band to ever make music? Your favorites and your subjective opinion aside, who do you think is the best band to ever make music in human history? I'm going to say it's Swans, and I'm going to say Birthing is just another reason why that's the case. If you haven't listened to Swans before in your life, give them a chance, but just know it's going to take a long time to get into them. I started listening to Swans when I was 14 or 15 years old, and I didn't come around to appreciate them till I was in my 20s, maybe 21, 22 years old. It took many, many years of trying to listen to it, looking at people talk about them on forums, on Rate Your Music, or whatever it might be, just hearing so many people gush about how amazing the music is. And I read review after review after review, and I keep trying to listen to it, and it's so abrasive and jarring and disjointed and difficult to listen to. Like, it's just not accessible. It's not accessible music. This is not radio music. When you make songs that are 20, 30 minutes long, it's not radio music. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes patience. And if you have the patience to listen to Swans and it eventually clicks for you, I promise you'll probably have the same opinion as me, of this being one of your favorite bands of all time, but also recognizing Swans as a completely different entity in music. They are, to me, the best band to ever make music, and they just showed it again here in 2025. So I'll stop gushing about Swans for now. I'm sure I'll make many, many videos about Swans in the future. I'll make a why you should listen to Swans video, where I'll give you guys kind of a rankings of their albums, in which order I would start listening to them, what songs would I start with. Maybe I'll give you guys some more backstory on the band. How did it develop? How did it break apart, come back, die again, and then come back a third time? I'll kind of run through all that history with you guys and make a full video on Swans to kind of show my love for it and to get more people into them, because I keep repeating myself, but this is the greatest band of all time in my opinion. But there was one album that I liked more in 2025. And my number 1 album of the year, of course, It had to be a black gaze record, I think, because I listened to so much black metal this year, and black gaze was the genre that scratched my itch. And just lucky for me, we got possibly the greatest black gaze record of all time in 2025. Deaf Heaven came out with their album Lonely People with Power, and of course I had to get it on vinyl because this album is so mind-blowing. I love it so much. This was probably my second most listened to album besides that SD Kid Rebel album. Again, I don't know why it was so addicting for me, but I came back to this album so much, and I love it so dearly. I loved Sunbather when it first came out, I think in 2013 or 2014. I listened to it constantly. I just loved the walls of sound Deaf Heaven was able to make, and when they came out with New Bermuda, that became one of my favorite albums of all time. And I know people like Sunbather more than that one, but for me, New Bermuda is one of my favorite rock albums ever. I listened to it so much. I also have it on vinyl. And then this album came out, and I honestly think this is the best thing that they've ever made. And they also sent it to me in this beautiful blue, again, almost like a sweet tart coloring. Also, I don't know if any of you guys have seen this album on vinyl, but the gatefold is also beautiful. I love that gatefold too. So just a terrific job with this. They did such a great job. Even the inserts got a little bit of information on there, all the song lyrics and stuff like that. Love when they include the song lyrics. Yeah, I could talk about this album all day long and how it makes me feel. It was the only album that I listened to in 2025 that inspired me to write poetry. I wrote 4 stanzas of poetry that I won't share with you guys. I won't bore you guys with my abysmal poetry, but I'll give you guys the image that came into my head that inspired the poetry. When I listened to this album for the first time, I felt like I was in a huge meadow, a massive field that looked like it went on for infinity. And there were millions of different flowers around me, different sizes, different shapes, different colors, millions of different colors, but I could barely see any of it because the sun was shining so bright that it was like I was looking like this, just kind of squinting, barely looking through my eyes, like when you come out of an indoor pool on a hot summer's day and, the sun's just too much for you to handle. You're like sneezing and you can't see anything. That's how I felt listening to this album. I know that doesn't sound like the most pleasant feeling ever, but man, I got some fond memories of those days coming out of the pool going, whoa. But I don't know, that's how it made me feel. It felt overwhelming. It felt like they were giving these walls of sounds, but they were refined and had these amazing progressions that moved a little bit quicker than stuff on New Bermuda and Sunbather. The songs are much shorter than their previous works, and they're tighter and punchier and just better defined, I think, as well. And to list for you guys my favorite songs on the album, because there's no singular song that I loved on this thing. It was my favorite album of the year, and I just listed for you guys 50 albums, so of course I loved pretty much everything on this. Doberman, Magnolia, The Garden Route, Heathen, Amethyst, Revelator, Body Behavior, Winona, and The Marvelous Orange Tree were my favorite songs on the album, which if you've heard the album, that's basically all of the songs besides the incidentals, which are like little interludes, which aren't necessary. I could have done without them, but they aren't annoying. They actually add to the atmosphere of the album, and I like them. They're little passages. Some are spoken word. I liked them. I think they added to the atmosphere. I'm not too annoyed by them. There's only 3 incidentals, and then the rest of the tracks are just fantastic songs. Body Behavior has the most impressive vocal performances, I think, on the entire album. Some of the most impressive black metal vocals I've heard ever, period. The lead vocalist in this band, I forget his name. I'm going to put it up on screen because he deserves a shout out. He did an interview with Anthony Fantano, actually, a couple months ago. I highly recommend checking it out. I'm not the biggest Needle Drop fan. I check out his videos here and there to get put onto new music, but I don't always agree with that guy's opinions, as I'm sure many of you guys don't as well. He's a divisive figure, but I think his interview was fantastic, and I love when he does interviews with musicians, especially lesser-known musicians like Deaf Heaven. And he interviewed the lead singer, who I think is just one of the most talented men working in music today. He's got such an impressive vocal range, and when he sings, it doesn't so much sound like something like Darkthrone or Burzum or some of that grindier black metal. He sounds like an opera singer. He sounds like someone who has full control over his voice and can use it masterfully. So it's a different kind of black metal singing. It's incredibly impressive. I think Body Behavior is the best example of it. The Garden Route is an incredibly fun song, but I think my top favorite, if I had to only pick one, I think it would be Amethyst. It's one of the longer songs on the album, and in fact, It is the longest song on the album at 8 minutes, which would normally be a very short song for Deaf Heaven to make. Normally that would be the shortest song on their album, but it's their longest one on this one, and it creates an atmosphere that I think's beautiful. And the way it progresses too is elaborate and intricate and engaging, and I loved it so much, man. I listen to Amethyst almost every day. I love this album so damn much. Like I said, it inspired me to write poetry about it, so that's a pretty unique thing. I don't know if I've had that experience with an album before. And it's just a life-changing album. It's one of those albums that's just cathartic. It scratches the right itches at the right times. I'm really into black metal, atmospheric black metal, black gaze right now, so it's the perfect time for this album to come out for me, and that's why it's number one on my list. It's the one that I enjoyed the most throughout 2025. I'm not claiming that it's the best album to come out objectively or anything like that, and I'm sure my taste is going to change in a couple years. In a couple years, I might look back, I might think Getting Killed by Geese was the best album of 2025, or maybe Swan's Birthing, or maybe the Deftones album, or who knows what else. I also want to shout out Nourished by Time, the Passionate Ones. That album really blew me away. I really wish I could have put that in my top 10, but I didn't listen to it enough, so apologies for that. I'm going to listen to it more. It was a really chill album. And I highly recommend you guys listen to every album that I've mentioned today. If you didn't get around to listening to any of them, go check them out. I promise you, none of these are weak releases. I picked for you guys pretty good albums today. I like to think I have a better taste in music, at least this year compared to last year. I think my taste gets better every year, the more music I listen to. So nothing on here is weak. Everything on here is very interesting, very groundbreaking and creative. And definitely go check out any album that I mentioned today that you haven't heard yet. And I know for sure that I missed lots of your guys' favorite albums. There were so many great releases in 2025. It was a magical year for music. For films, not so much. If you guys watch my top 25 films of 2025 video, you'll see that I was a little bit more, I didn't feel the same magic with the films of 2025. It was a little bit of a weaker year for films. But with music, my God, this was one of the most special years I've ever been alive for. So I know I missed so many great things, so please let me know down below in the comments, what albums did I miss? What albums did you love? What were your favorites? Give me your rankings, and give me a couple of reasons why you loved those albums or why you rank them the way that you do. I love hearing from you guys. I love discussing music with you guys, so let me know all that stuff down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends to help boost this channel in the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.